Okay, so we're here today with Scott Pampuch of Corner Table. It's a highly regarded restaurant locally on the scene. It's been one of the leaders. Scott has been one of the leaders in talking about the farm-to-table movement, what that means, a tour to farm, and getting people really actively interested in going to the farm and understanding what farmers do. The first question I have for you is, for you, when did this kind of start to become something you were passionate about?
I would say for me, the idea of eating what directly came from the garden, was directly picked. I had some contact with that process. Was growing up as a kid. I mean, my extended family was huge. My grandparents had a lot of property, and there was a garden. You know, my parents loved them to death, but they cooked for crap. You know, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and we ate out of boxes and cans. You know, that's how I grew up. But at the same time, weekends became go to the garden, work in the garden, pick out of the garden, eat out of the garden. And we didn't go to grocery stores for our meat, we went to butcher shops. So it's always been there. When I started cooking, I didn't start cooking until I was 27, and I was approached when I was cooking at the Modern Cafe. I was approached by the Southeast Minnesota Food Network, which was actually a project that was developed. The business model for that was developed at the University of Minnesota, and it was implemented down in southeastern Minnesota because there is such a mass of small family farms, and the food is being produced there. So to me, this idea that it was happening in what a sense was my backyard as when I grew up. I mean, the list of farms, the first list of farms that I ever saw was ridiculous because I think I knew 5 of those families. I had hunted on that property as a kid. You know, growing up in Minnesota, this is, to me, this idea of eating immediately from where we live and following that season. You know, I grew up making sauerkraut from scratch with my grandparents had a summer kitchen, you know, and you know, a summer kitchen is where food happens. So that's really where it happened. Was I got approached by them. I was cooking at the Modern, and that was not the model that we had, and we started dabbling with it, and it just really kind of spoke to me and said, this is how I want to cook. I don't want to cook it 100%. I don't want to partly cook it, you know. I don't want to do just eggs, just dairy, just meat, because we can, and you know, screw the produce, I'll take the tomatoes from Chile. To me, it was, this is how I want to do it. So when I had the opportunity to open my own restaurant, there was no other choice for me. It was
What do you have against Chile?
I have nothing against Chile, but I firmly believe that our tomatoes kick their tomatoes' ass. Simple as that.
I've never had a tomato in Chile. That would be the question, right? So
yeah.
Talk about terroir. What does that mean when you're talking about it?
To me, terroir is a complete sense of place. I mean, we know in the wine world, you know, there's a bunch of you know, wine of snobs, I like to refer to them, that will say, you know, I can taste the shale. I can, you know, they'll go to the vineyard and they'll eat the soil and they'll put it on their mouth, and when they drink the wine, they say that they can make the connection and da-da. You know, hey, if they can, awesome. I don't know that I can, but to me, a sense of terroir is where you are right now, the season, the weather, the climate, the environment, the place. To me, that is what we try and do when I talk about farm to table. You know, we change our menu every single week, and we do that because our farmers give us different food every single week. And when that food comes in, some of it may be perfect, some of it may be less than perfect, but you know what? I'm still going to work with it. And I think that's my job as a chef. That's my job as a cook, you know, is to know what that tomato tastes like, what that apple tastes like, and know how to bring out the terroir and say, this is a tomato from Minnesota, and also blend it with everything else that I have going on to really represent where we are right now. I mean,
the obvious question is, how do you feel in January?
I freaking love January because I love parsnips, I love beets, I love turnips, I love onions, I love chicken, bison, elk, pheasant, eggs. I mean, plus, I will say, and I'm very proud of being part of this process, is that when I first opened this restaurant, I had 3 months that I had to buy lettuce and salad from somewhere other part of the world. And I didn't feel good about it. I mean, we changed some of our menus in those first years. When I look back, we weren't even doing lettuce salads. We were doing like vegetable salads or marinated vegetables or charred vegetables. I mean, we were taking the word salad and just treating it as, oh, it's only vegetables. But now, so in the course of 6 years that we've been open, the money that I've spent directly with these farmers, they've been able to put that money back into their farms and build the infrastructure that I can get salad in the traditional sense, greens, year-round. I've been able to do that for 3.5 years now. I can get beautiful salad greens, mesclun mix, that, 1972, I think, introduced by Alice Waters back in Berkeley, the whole mesclun mix that we see everywhere now that is cliche as hell. We're able to get greens because there are now geothermal greenhouses that are producing, there are hoop houses that are producing all through the winter months. And I've got farmers writing a list that says, would you like romaine in January? And we can get it. So that's how I feel in January. I think